I don't know. Tomorrow I'm fucking getting a salad.
Girl, we going to boozy brunch tomorrow.
Audio Jungle.
Hello, experts. Welcome back to another episode of Experts About Nothing.
Last week, we had the privilege of talking to Aanya Gandhi, who is one of our close friends, a model, and she's our personal confidence coach. And we talked about a lot of amazing things with her, including her confidence journey, how she moved to New York, networking, and also what kind of led her into her modeling journey. So that is going to be what this episode is all about today. We had so much goodness that we had to split it up into 2 episodes. So here we have part 2. But before we get into that, we thought we would ramble for a minute.
Yes, it's been a while since we just caught up. A lot of things have been going down. We went to our good friend Manpreet's wedding 2 weekends ago.
Shout out Manu and Cardi.
Yes, it was such a fabulous weekend, honestly, and we had the best time. And part of that amazing journey was being in the car with Diksha, Prashant, and Prachi for approximately 24 hours.
Yeah.
We're driving from like Southern Virginia to Northern Virginia, and then from Northern Virginia to New York. And we did that all in one day because we were trying to get back on a Sunday so that we can, start our work week on Monday. And let me tell you, I'm just not a car person.
Priya's basically silent the whole road trip. At one point, we were like...
Okay, let me preface. I'm not silent the whole time. I just hit a cap where I'm like, there's nothing left to say. Like, I'm
at
done.
one point, Prashant was driving, and he was like, hey, Priya, are you good back there? You haven't really said anything the last few hours. And Priya was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm just vibing.
I mean, mind you, I did not drive even 30 seconds of this drive. Like, I have no real reason to be. Just like, I think I was also socially shot. I'm like, we've been hanging out for days. 24/7.
It was so much fun.
It was so fun.
And literally so much fun that morning after the reception, I was talking to Priya for about 2 hours, and absolutely everything she would say to me would be true that. She would give me 2 words for everything I said to her. And the thing is, we were having normal conversation, but then she would just top everything off with true that.
Okay, it's because my brain just starts to break at a certain point. Like, there was nothing processing, and, like, we were just packing up all our stuff and just trying to, like, hit the road, and I was so just out of it, because I don't know. It was such a, like, exhilarating few days that my brain couldn't handle it, and I didn't even realize. The funniest part was I didn't realize I was saying true that. Like, I didn't think about it.
I was like, okay,
and
something is wrong.
Why are you saying true that? Like, every 5 seconds. I don't even say that. It was really bizarre, but not a lot was coming to the forefront of my mind. And same with the entire car ride. I was just like, I got nothing left to say.
Yeah, she was silent.
That's the tea. Let us know if you're a road trip person. And tell me how to be one, because I hate it.
Okay, in other news, I also started watching House of Dragons after being convinced by many people.
Let me go on a rant, okay? First of all, when we started the show, which I watched all of GOT, we did the whole thing.
I did not. I only watched the first season of GOT, and then I was like, too much gore, gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, fact. It's not like a pleasant watch, but it's a very interesting one, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we were telling Diksha, like, you should start watching House of Dragon. It has to be iconic. They fumbled the bag so bad with GOT at the end that, like, they actually didn't have a choice but to redeem themselves, or else everyone would riot. And I love the guy who plays Daemon. He was in The Crown, and I think he's really cute. It's like the perfect type of weird, villainous looking person that I always find very cute.
I did not understand this. Priya was like, oh my god, isn't he adorbs? And I was like, literally no.
I'm obsessed. He is so adorable and a horrible character on the show, but in the best way. Actually, he's not horrible. He's kind of iconic.
I mean...
And then Diksha started watching it finally, and I was getting so pissed because my entire TikTok right now is House of Dragon themed, and there's all these thirst TikToks that I want to send Diksha, and she just wouldn't understand. And then she slyly just drops that she watched 4 episodes of House of Dragon today.
I did get halfway through.
And I was like, how dare? How dare you? I've just been holding on to these TikToks, smirking in my bed
But
alone.
don't worry, it's only been like a few days. Like, I've only started it Sunday, and I can't believe I got through 4 episodes. But it's honestly, I watched 2 yesterday. I was up till 1 a.m. And I was like, oh my God, maybe that's why my dreams are going berserk right now.
That is not a good night
but like,
watch.
Also, has anyone else been having crazy ass dreams right now? Because my dreams are out of whack. I have not dreamt like this in, I'm not kidding, years. And this is so bad.
Vivid dreams.
And I wake up and they're all stressful. None of them are like crazy, like death, murder, anything crazy like that. But all of them are deeply stressful. And it's like, for example, the one I had yesterday for our friend's wedding, Manpreet's wedding, that we already went to. I had a dream about it, that I literally packed this suitcase, and allegedly, this is something I would never do in my lifetime, packed none of my clothes. Like, literally, I took a suitcase with just my mom's clothes. Why? And then I was, like, fumbling around like a maniac, like, while everyone else was ready. And I was like, why did I also wait until, like, 10 minutes before the event to start moving? Mind you, I'm a bridesmaid. Okay, so I'm like, why am I wearing this outfit? And I'm so confused in my dream the whole time. I'm so stressed out. I literally am thinking about driving home in my dream, mind you, 3 hours away from the wedding venue, to pick up my stuff. And I'm like, whatever, at least I'll look good. And I'm like, what am I thinking in my dream, in my reality? I wake up and I'm so fucking flustered. Every morning this happens. The other day I had a horrible dream, too, where I got so pissed off at Prashant because he was doing some crazy ass shit in my dream. Like, I had this one dream. Did I tell you this?
No.
Okay. You and I were invited. Get this. This is cool. We were invited to a movie premiere. Okay. So we're rolling up. What? Mind you, I'm like, why do we look so beat at this movie premiere? Because we are rolling up in our casual sweats attire to the movies. You know, I guess I finessed a +1. Prashant's with us. We're getting situated, whatever. Then I see Raina from GGE, Girls Gotta Eat, one of my favorite podcasts, obsessed with that show. Raina Greenberg is literally sitting in the same fucking row as us. Obviously, I was not about to sacrifice my one shot. So I'm like, walking over to Raina, you go to the bathroom, very characteristic of you. I was like, okay, Pete, I need to go say hi to Raina. Let's go. And so then I'm like, hey, Raina. I'm like awkwardly fucking saying hi. And I'm like, such a big fan of the show, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Prashant, take a photo of us. Simple ask. Prashant's ass literally cannot operate a normal ass iPhone. And he is taking, I'm not kidding, 5 minutes to take this photo. Meanwhile, Raina's literally like, what the fuck is his problem? Literally, she says, what the fuck is his problem? Why can't he take a photo? I'm so mortified, and I'm also embarrassed. That is done, okay? I'm done. Then I'm like kind of pissed. I'm like, these photos are so beat. Like, mind you, we're in a theater, so I don't know what I expected. But I was like, okay,
how do you have
you
so
could have
much
done
detail about this dream?
Literally, I was so shook when I woke up. After, I'm like, thank God that's over. Then I like turn around and Prashant is not following me. Instead, he is taking a photo with Raina. Okay. Totally fine. The guy wants to take a photo with, you know, one of my idols. That's fine. He takes a photo in the most awkward fucking position. He literally does like a from the back hug over his shoulders to Raina. And I'm like, how dare you touch Raina like that? And I was like, Prashant, why are you making her feel so fucking awkward? In 5 minutes, she's never going to forget this interaction, and she's going to talk about me on our podcast as a joke.
Bro, Prashant would never do that.
Never.
That's the funniest part.
That's why I was so startled, and I was like, Prashant, stop being so awkward. Like, stop embarrassing. I literally was like, stop embarrassing me. You're embarrassing me. And then I woke the fuck up, and I was like, I cannot believe he did that to me. I was texting him the next morning. I was like, I had the most nuts dream. You have to hear this. And then I kept like, you know, telling him the whole escalation of the story, and he was like, wow, it only got worse and worse. And yeah, like literally I had another dream that he like skid my parents' new car, okay? and then just walked inside like he didn't even know he did that.
Why
And
are you
I
having
was
these
mortified.
psycho
I was like, not my dad looking at me like I'm a maniac for bringing this monster into the house.
P, why are you acting up like
He's
that?
acting up.
He's
And I was
really
like,
being crazy.
it's giving aloof in the dreams, okay? And I'm like, I literally yelled at him after. And I was like, you are actually poisoning my dreams. And I can't. I cannot.
Not your full life partner poisoning your dream.
Anyway, it's only
That
gotten worse and worse. And
hilarious and sad at the same
so
time.
stressful. And I don't know if anyone else is experiencing some weird. She's been sending me some crazy things with the planets that could be explaining some things.
Maybe.
So if anyone else is having crazy, vivid,
I think you need to
stupid
do
dreams,
nighttime
let me know.
meditations.
Okay, but like this hasn't happened to me in 26 years. I've never dreamt
I
so much in my
know, but
lifetime.
we need to pivot when things happen.
Right.
Adapt.
Slay.
Slay.
Okay, and now we'll cut to our fun conversation with Aanya. Enjoy. So now we get into the really exciting stuff, which is your modeling journey. Yes. I have a million questions about this. I could talk to you about this for hours. It is such a cool world. How did you initially start this modeling journey? How did you know you wanted to do it? And yeah, we can start from there and then we can dive in. I have a million questions.
Yeah. Modeling is honestly, I didn't know the term for so long. I had grown up with my dad having a camera and always kind of shoving it into our faces and putting us in the limelight all the time. I was so used to it. I felt like I have so many home videos that I'm pretty sure I could make my own reality TV show with all the home videos that have been happening, or that my home videos that my dad has been sharing. And from that sense of comfortableness that I got being in front of the camera, when I got a little bit older, I would say like middle school, high school time, I started doing more amateur photo shoots with my friends because I saw a lot of models at that time that none of them looked like me. And I was like, well, I want to do something. I want to feel just as cool and sexy as they do. So I found a lot of my old photos, a lot of them are tree photos. I'm hugging a tree and looking out into the distance. And it's giving very dramatic, very dramatic outside the car. When is my husband coming back from war? But I loved it. I loved just doing it and stepping into another persona, into another character, and being like, I want to reenact this person and how their emotions are probably feeling, or I want to put on this new outfit and, showcase it to the best of my ability. And I started having a lot of fun with it. But again, never thought of it seriously. I didn't understand that modeling was something that I could also do. Again, we didn't have the representation at that time. So years passed by, college kind of took a little bit of a break from it. But then moving to New York City, in the city of dreams where almost anything can happen, or I think that anything can happen, is when the modeling career kind of started. I put my energy out there. I started talking to people, especially when I was on Clubhouse and talking to people on social media. When I was having these lengthy conversations with them just about life and goals and what do we want to achieve and what's the impact we want to leave, I hesitated at first in the beginning, but then I just said it out loud. One time, 2 times, 3 times. It just kept going. So now in every conversation that I had, I started saying, hey, I really want to model. I don't know if I'm cut out for it, but I really am excited and intrigued by it, and I would love to do a photo shoot. And it wasn't until one day that a brand that I actually model for quite frequently now reached out to me and said, hey, we're actually looking for a couple of models. You don't have to have any experience. You can just come in and start shooting some of our clothes. And I was beyond excited to think that little old me was going to go and model for, a South Asian fashion designer brand. So I went there with nerves. I was high strung on anxiety, being like, what have I gotten myself into? Am I good enough for this? But then I got in front of the camera and everything just went natural. It's the same thing, the same feeling of me being on stage. Also, I feel the most as Element when I am on stage speaking in front of an audience or performing.
I'm shocked. Couldn't be me.
Yeah. But it's such a weird thing because I can understand why people get that scared, but for some reason I dream of doing things like even Broadway. I want to be on Broadway. But anyway, so with the modeling stuff, it was I would stand in front of the camera and I would feel naturally back to my element, and they would compliment me and say that, yeah, like you've been doing this for a couple of years, right? Like it's actually like you're really good, and like, you know, I love the specific pose you get. And I was so shook because I was like, no, this is like legit my first time doing it. So from there, I realized afterwards, I need to keep putting myself back out there. I need to continuously keep manifesting this and letting people know that I'm a hard worker. I will do everything that I can to make this reality happen. So for the months following, this like started last year, and then into this year, I reached out to more people. I let them know of my dream. And I said, please let me know if anything comes up. And if there's anything I can do as well to help support you, please let me know. And so, yeah, it's been, now we're well into 2022 and I have a couple of brands under my belt that I've worked with. I even did my first runway fashion show experience, which is a whole nother thing. Very different from shoots, but equally just as fun. And I absolutely love it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I love what you said about I just let myself speak it out into existence. A lot of times I think that's the hardest part. Like you might have some like internal dream that you're like thinking about for so long, and like modeling for you was something you had a hunch that you would maybe like really enjoy it since you were a kid, but it's really hard to speak that out, and like you're fearful of failure, I think, fundamentally. But a lot of times that helps you get out of your own way, which was like clearly what happened in your case. But I would love to know I need to hear everything about the runway experience because we have to dive into that. When you said you feel really in your element doing these shoots, what kind of runs through your mind? I'm curious to know like what your like approach is.
Yeah. I channel the best version of myself. When I walk up into a set or I'm in front of the camera, I tell myself, forget all your insecurities, forget the world around you, the other people looking at you around on the streets while you're taking the photos. You are in this moment. You've been given this opportunity. Going back, and I think I forgot to mention this, the biggest reason that I've also just loved and wanted to get into modeling was because I've never grown up with that representation around me. Mm-hmm. I've grown up with some South Asian women out there being in models and being in campaigns, but even those South Asian models don't look like me. Our diaspora is so big, it's so wide and vast that there's a lot of representation still missing. I'm not in one of the extremes. I'm not your quote unquote your standard looking model, but I'm also not on the other end of the spectrum. I'm not a plus size model. So where do I fall in between? And I feel that type of confidence would have given me so much more early on confidence that I needed back in like those schooling days when I just hated myself and hated how I look and hated my nose, for example. So from that, that's when modeling became a big important factor in my life. But when I step on, it really just is, I'm going to channel the best version of myself today and put all my insecurities to the side. So I've never thought about a specific character. Of course, it would be so cool to be like, I want to channel Beyonce today, but the best thing you could do is just channel that best version of yourself. And I really believe that's what's led me to become more successful over time. And people want to see your uniqueness. So if you're channeling somebody else, it's going to come across. Channel yourself, and that nobody can buy off. Nobody can steal that from you.
It's such an exercise of like how far you've come in your confidence journey to be able to like do that and feel so secure and being like, this is the best version of myself, and I'm gonna like own this camera and like take photos, which in itself like is not a comfortable experience, I feel like. So that's amazing.
And I have a fun question for you. I am so curious how I'm in New York, in the streets, like how these photo shoots even work. I like walk by sometimes and I see people taking photos and stuff.
Right. We just find a spot, and I've for some of the South Asian brands that I have I have worked with, it's just, whatever, it's right around the area. We'll walk over there if we find a little, like a nice spot. Doesn't matter if there's other people around looking at you or taking photos of you or trying to have conversation with you. Just do it right then and there, because actually that is the most humbling experience, is to be able to do it in front of other New Yorkers.
Exactly.
And them feeling so many things, but you'd be surprised. I feel like there's been more positive than you would imagine otherwise in your head going into it. Oh, it's so weird to be doing this. It's actually not. And the other thing is, it's New York.
Yeah.
Everyone's also used to it.
Yeah.
But I think even if you're not in New York City, people, even if people are looking at you and making faces at you or saying comments, it takes a lot of bravery to be able to go out there and show the world that you don't care what you think. I am doing me. And I think that needs to be like a huge pat on the back. So regardless of whether you're in New York City or not, I hope that you can own up to yourself and live your best life.
There's so much stimulation in the city. So like being in your element in that environment, I think you really have to channel some higher version of yourself to like be able to tune all that out and like focus on your art. Literally, I'll be your assistant. I'm serious.
We'll be your PA.
I'll literally be I'll take behind the scenes stuff.
I never have somebody to like take like videos and pictures behind the scene, and also outfit changes are like,
I was just gonna
really
ask you about that. How do you do that? So like if you are doing like one of these outside photo shoots, where do you change outfits? Like do you do it close to a place where it's close to your apartment, or like how do you do that?
Yeah, it's typically near the brand's like location or headquarters, so you can just go run back in there and be able to change. If not, I've also done it where in public, like I'll find like a public restroom, and I'll just go and change inside there. And you just have to carry it with you, and that's when it would be so helpful to have assistance at times. It's typically then it's just you and the photographer like carrying things arm in arm, and you have to like, while you're doing the shoot, you also have to like keep a corner of your eye towards the bags to make sure that nobody's stealing anything.
That's another issue we have here.
And
everywhere, but mainly here.
But a lot here, yes, definitely.
And that's been interesting to see that, but
And it's definitely like with Indian clothes specifically, there's a lot of pinning and sometimes setting involved, so it's like to be able to do that in a public bathroom, props. Like I could not imagine being alone. My mom has to pre-pin everything for me right now. That's amazing. So what does a typical modeling shoot day look like? What time do you start? How does the hair and makeup work? Do you do it yourself? One of my biggest questions, do you get to pick the clothes that you model?
So everything depends on the brand. Before the shoot date, you are talking with either the designer or the brand, getting to know what is it that I have to show up in. Am I doing my own hair and makeup? Are you guys providing hair and makeup? Do I need to come with a clean face, or do I come with my foundation ready? What do you need me to bring? So much pre-production that happens, and details that need to be organized before the shoot day actually happens, because sometimes there's a space that's rented out in particular and they only have 4 or 5 hours to get everything done. Sometimes you're not the only model either. There's all these other models coming in, so they have to go through bang, bang, bang. Kind of just have to know what to do and be able to be adaptable and go with the flow. And sometimes it's like 9-10 hours in the day.
Oh my gosh.
So, but bring your own snacks. Always bring your own snacks. You never know what type of food is going to be there. And then you're just, you're either in queue, you're waiting to get your hair and makeup done. You're mingling with other people that are there, with the photographers, the videographers. It's really great to mingle even more with the other models that are there. As somebody as new as me getting into this industry, I have a million questions. One of the girls that I did a brand shoot with back in January, she was like, I modeled for Rihanna's line like before, and I was like, excuse me? And I was the most amateur of them all. Like they were already professionals, and some of them had signed to agencies.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know anything about that life. I'm doing everything freelance right now. So a lot of networking and stuff happens, and I love it when you find a group of genuine good people that are willing to help you out, and actually talk to you and give you advice. And I still stay in touch with people that I've done photo shoots with back months or a year or two ago. And then it's hair and makeup, and you get in front, you get on the set, you're moving around into different parts of the room or the set, or even outside. And sometimes there's photographers that you work with that will give you direction of what you need to do, how you need to place your hand, or what they really want you to emit. And there's some photographers that don't say anything to you. You're just clicking away, and you're like, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to move it? And they just don't say anything. So you just have to know. All trial and error. Take a bunch of photos, a couple of them will turn out right exactly how they want it. But it's also just coming in with the confidence of, okay, if they're not going to give me direction, I'm just going to channel in what I know best, what angles I know work best for me. Hopefully they just like some of those things. Touch wood, I've not had any negative experiences so far, but I'm sure as being in the modeling industry, it will come. But I'm just hoping that I at least have it within myself to make the most of it and take it away as a learning experience otherwise.
Amazing. And then also, when you are modeling with other people, how exactly do you find compatibility in those situations, especially when you're modeling with maybe someone you don't know? How do you find that compatibility in such a short amount of time?
That's such a good question, because it's so fast. You have to find it really fast, because there are some shoots where it's I'll have to show you guys this photo later. We're all laying on top of each other, and I am up and personal into some people's spaces, which I feel so bad. But what I did before then is I introduced myself to every single person that is there. From there, you start asking, the more professional questions, and then it gets into the more personal stuff. What do you do outside of modeling? And having that genuine connection really helps you become comfortable then when you're on set. It's okay, I feel like I'm already building a friendship, and this is just another layer we are adding on. You do the most what you can, right? You can't become quick friends this fast with somebody, but at least if somebody knows that, okay, I want to be respectful of you and your space as much as possible. Typically we have also production people there that are leading the whole photo shoot, and they also help with that and making sure everybody's introduced and everybody's comfortable.
There's so many elements to it that you would never think about when you see a photo,
right? But
there's so much behind the scenes.
Are you with also the designer or the brand lead, whoever is running the photo shoot? Is there typically brand representation there? Okay.
Typically with the brands one, there's always somebody there. There is the shoots that I have done, the designer's always been there, and they typically have an assistant come on as well. So they're talking to you and looking at the different pieces that they have with them to see, okay, what's going to fit on you, what's going to make you feel the most comfortable. One time I went to a shoot earlier this year, and they had put me in something that I was not comfortable in. And I debated internally. I was inside the bathroom and I was changing, and for so long I was I don't know whether to say something or not, and I'm very new at this. I don't want to come off as very ungrateful. What if they fire me on the spot? All these very extreme scenarios were coming in my head. But then I was you know what? No, I think what I'm comfortable with, and if they have respect for me, they will at least listen to me and try their best to accommodate as much as possible.
Definitely.
So I went up to the designer and I said, hey, the top of this is okay, but I'm actually not comfortable wearing a bikini bottom. I've never done it before, and I don't really want to do that on camera just yet, though I absolutely love it, just not for me. And they were actually really well receiving to it. They're like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. Actually, we have some pants right here. If you want to just wear the top, and we can wear the pants with it. And that just made me feel so much better to know, once again, you just ask for it. The worst case people can say is no. Or the worst case is that you don't work with a brand that maybe doesn't respect you.
That's so true. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially in that setting. So I feel like you gotta, being able to vouch for yourself is so important. Runway. We need to hear about the runway show.
Oh, yes. So totally unexpected. Like I said, I always wanted to be in front of the camera, but I'm a 5'2" South Asian model. I never in my wildest dreams thought that runway was ever going to happen. I mean, I grew up watching Victoria's Secret fashion show and all these beautiful, very, very thin at least 5'8", 5'9" ladies strutting down the runway. So it was always like, I couldn't even put it as a pipe dream because I thought it was really impossible for me to do this. But then this year, as New York Fashion Week comes out, and there are some South Asian brands that are making runway shows for themselves. This one South Asian fashion brand that I had been modeling with emailed me and invited me to be a part of her first ever runway show. And I was like, are you sure? Like, do you need to address me? Like, I had no idea. And runway was something I don't have any experience or practice with. But it's kind of funny because my whole family, they're like, you always walk with like tumka to you. I don't know how to explain with it. So it's like, it's very like, it's gonna happen to you one day. I was so shocked, and I said, yes, of course, I would love the experience of doing it. It was, again, I was so nerve-wracked. I didn't practice at all. The smart thing to do before this runway experience would have been to be like, okay, let me look at videos, let me practice my walk. I was too nervous to even look up the videos. I didn't even, the only time I practiced my walk is when I had headphones in. I was on the subway walking down the platform, and I would pretend, okay, the world is now my runway. And I would walk down like this, and people would look at me weird, but I didn't care because I was never going to see him again. So the day of it comes, and I get there, and it is like a madhouse. Everyone is getting hair, makeup. There's so many different models. There's like a production team of 40 people. Everybody's getting ready, and I see one girl actually walking up and down the room practicing. And I was like, oh, shit. I should have at least looked up one video. They look so good. While I was waiting for my hair and makeup, I turned to one person, and I'm like, hey, do you mind showing me or giving me a quick snippet of like what is it like to walk? And they're like, oh my god, yeah, of course. And so for the next hour and a half, a group of the models get together, and we're all helping each other out. We're helping to critique each other, practice our walks, gas each other up as we're walking to be like, yes, you're doing it. This is great. That sense of just feeling so empowered by a group of people that I didn't know. And truth be told, I was even more nervous to think that because it is South Asian models that are going to be there. And truth be told, I was even more nervous to think that because it is South Asian models that are going to be there. And I've seen it on the other coin where people can get very competitive about this, to be like, sorry, I don't have time to help you or to show you. I was afraid, who's going to show me how to do this? But everyone banded together that one night and was just helping each other out. And honestly, it was incredible. My actual walk didn't go like my practice walk. Truth be told, I did get a bit nervous and probably walked a little bit too fast. They also have you like in your head, the steps that you're taking, where you're supposed to pause, how many seconds you're supposed to pause there. So in my head, I was like 1, 5, 1, spin, 1, 3, 1. And so you're too busy trying to remember those numbers while you're walking, while you're trying to make a straight face, and while you're trying to do your poses. There's so much that comes together with it, but ended up absolutely loving it. It again felt like I was in my element because you're listening to this great like pump up music, and I didn't look at anybody's faces because I knew that I would probably break my persona. Afterwards, there was mingling happening and realized the whole cast of Indian Matchmaking was like walking or like sitting on one row.
I saw that on the live.
Oh,
I
you
was
did?
like, because they placed the video like facing, it was like the second row. And I was like, there's Nadia right there. Like,
incredible just to see like, you know, some celebrities that are there that are watching you fully. I think the person that I was the most struck by was Varsha Sharma. She is the editor in chief of Teen Vogue. It was absolutely incredible, and I would actually love to do runway again. And I'm so glad that more and more now there are brands out there being more inclusive to people that don't fit that quote unquote standard norm. And it goes back to just my mission of why I love modeling so much. It's to be more inclusive and make the world a better place with better representation.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's amazing. What an iconic first experience for you. And I know it won't be the last.
I'm curious, another very specific question. When you are like in between outfits, how fast do you have to change? And like, who helps you? Who kind of like checks you over to make sure everything looks good? How does that work?
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. So it was set up inside this studio, and underneath the studio was like the kind of like the basement area where we had like our green room where all, you know, there was like 5 makeup artists and like 1 person doing hair for all of us. And I want to say there was about 12 or to 15 of us models. Going up to the main studio where it was actually set up, there was a very small staircase that we had access to. And what would happen is on the left side, models were going up and onto the runway. And on the right side were the models coming down to quickly go and change. It was such a small staircase that we were all crammed in there. We were helping each other out, helping each other go up in like our heels and heavy dresses and jewelry, and making sure that we don't like, you know, get tagged to each other.
Yeah.
And holding on to the ramp for dear life, but going as fast as possible. And then the moment I got back to the green room to change for the second look, and in that time there was a singer who was performing her song. So we had up until 1 song to get fully changed. And again, this is like South Asian outfits. It's not easy like a dress or shirt and pants that you can put on. So I had to change so quickly, and like I said before, there was a team of 40 people, 40 production members that came that were helping out. So the makeup artists were actually really kind enough that they were last minute assigned to us, like to 1 or 2 models to help them change. So I would go, and in front of everybody, you were just stripping naked. So like just, and it was all girls in the room, you're stripping naked and you are just changing as fast as you humanly can. And I'm like taking off the earrings, putting on the new earrings, and changing heels, and like touching up any makeup that needs to be done. But I don't even think that there was time for that. It was such a blur of like a minute basically that's happening. And then you're sent up the stairs, and so while you're waiting on the stairs, you're quickly checking yourself, like, okay, do I have everything on me? Am I zipped up? I do think though that one of the heels that I was supposed to be wearing, I forgot to take off the tag. So I am sincerely hoping that nobody saw it. Like, I think my gown kind of covered it for the most part, but there's a chance that the tag might have been seen. But and it just is. It's so hectic, and I loved every moment of it. It was so fun.
I feel like sometimes those high pressure situations, like if you really love them in like a certain industry or like a certain activity, if you can learn to appreciate those things, the whole process just becomes amazing. Like none of it, hopefully at some point, will like freak you out. It'll just be part of the process, and you like are just so comfortable with it. Hopefully at one point, you know?
The one thing I did want to add about it is afterwards, it was such a big high for me to walk in the runway. But I remember posting about it afterwards on Instagram. I luckily had one of my very near and dear friends that was in the audience. She took videos of me, and she told me afterwards, like, you were in your element. I've seen you before as like happy, fun Anya, but she's never seen me in a photo shoot setting or runway setting. But she's like, when I saw you on that runway, I was like, this is it. This is like where she's meant to be. And it really touched me at that time. I still went home that night and I cried so much.
Oh my God.
I cried so much because all my insecurities that I kind of bandaged up that week to make sure that I'm prepped for this came tumbling out. Because I saw a few quick snippets of like photos and videos and thought that like, I don't look as good. I don't look good. Those other models were stunning. They're gorgeous. And why don't I look like that? Like, my face was very, just looking very straight and very fierce the whole time. And I was letting all these things gnaw at me while other people were replying to me on Instagram and saying that, like, oh my God, I saw your video clip. That's amazing. You always get such cool, amazing experiences, which is right. I am eternally grateful for all these experiences and opportunities that I'm getting. But at the same time, I made a post about it on my Instagram with the videos, but afterwards in my long caption, I put, again, things are not as they seem. The amount of panic attacks I've had, the amount of wondering if I'm good enough, the imposter syndrome that came up, how much I cried afterwards because I didn't feel like I put my best self out there, was so much to handle. But still an incredible experience that I will never forget, and I hope it kickstarts to more runway opportunities for me, and hopefully I'll be able to bring and serve a more confident version of me at these runway and shoot experiences. But it's never as easy as Instagram or social media makes it seem.
And it'll always get better, like round one is never everyone's like I killed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it always takes a few go-arounds, especially when this is, like, something so public and, like, a million eyes are on you, and it's, like, literally no one's looking at anything else in those situations because the whole purpose of the night is to look at people model clothes. You know, I was one of those people watching. I thought you killed it. I was like, wow. And frankly, this is like something I expected you would end up doing at some point too.
Really?
Like, yeah, I was like, there's no way she just does shoots. Like, she is capable of doing things like modeling, runway specifically. But yeah, it was amazing watching you do that. I was like, I can't believe I know someone that like is doing cool things like this. It's crazy.
Thank you. It means a lot.
First, we need to make sure Aanya plugs herself in any way you want. So please plug yourself, plug your Insta.
This is what I love. Genuine, good friendships that help support each other. Hi, my name is Aanya. I'll get a little elevator pitch. I would love if there are any opportunities that are out there for a 5'2" South Asian model to be featured or collaborate with you in promoting your brand, your art, your fashion, whatever it is. I would love to be a part of it. You can find me on my Instagram at Aanya Gandhi. That's AAGANDHI.
Thank you so much, Aanya, for such an amazing conversation. And honestly, I learned a lot about modeling that I've always wanted to know. I feel like it's such an industry where, like, unless you know people in it, you don't really know what's going on the inside, especially the modeling space in New York. There probably is a whole host of other challenges. It's the drive, truly.
Yeah, it's just so inspiring to see someone or like hear from someone just going after what they want. And I love having heard her own faith in herself and her abilities and just acting on that.
Yeah, and just acting on passion.
I think all of us have some sort of like intuition within ourselves on like things that we want to do and want to try and think we could be good at.
Yeah.
But, you know, we just have these fears in our own mind. Seeing people just let themselves experience what they want to experience is dope.
You know, the direction that I think we want to take our podcast is continuing to have people like Aanya and Vilas share their journeys and like the things they're passionate about and how they're actually striving towards those goals. Because honestly, it's super inspirational to us, and hopefully you guys found it inspirational too.
True that.
Anyway, but on to our favorite, I guess.
Okay, what's the question? Leisha's not telling me it.
Okay, so the cue is, what's a food you're sick of right now?
Oh my god.
It's a good cue, isn't it?
That is a good cue. I am sick of... Okay, this is a hot take, and I'm sick of it, but I'm not going to stop eating it.
Sure.
Yogurt.
Whoa, I did not expect that
I know
one.
you wouldn't expect it, but I'm gonna be specific. I'm sick of like my morning. I eat yogurt for breakfast basically every single morning, like a Chobani cup with some muesli or nuts, you know. And I'm sick of that. I'm basically sick of that breakfast. I'm not sick of, you know, yogurt rice, yogurt dips, raita.
It's just in that format.
In that format. So I don't think I'll stop eating it, but I'm just like a little sick of it.
Okay, fair.
I'm also kind of over eggs right now. Like, I think everyone, you either wake up and you could eat an egg or they repulse you. It's a very, like, flip of the switch
like,
thing.
On a day-to-day. Yeah, I feel.
So, I think I'm in my no egg phase right now. I'm just not feeling it.
So, I gotta say, I'm kind of just generally tired of fried foods. For example, fried tofu. Not really into pakoras and, like...
What about fries?
You know, I can never turn down a fry, but, like, if I think about what I want right now, it's not a fry. Yeah, like, I know we had Shake Shack last week, and I was, like, chomping those fries down. After I ate them, I was like, I did not
feeling
want
good.
them. Yeah.
I think it's also because we've been eating out a lot recently.
We really have. We've had, like, no chill.
I keep saying this. I feel like a rat. We've just been moving around, and then I think we both came back, and work really picked up. And I have...
True that.
I could not, like, we just can't be bothered to do the normal human things, like go get groceries and make food. Like, it's, like, been extra hard recently.
But I feel like we have been getting groceries and we have been making food, but, like, to do it twice a day actually is the bane of my existence right now, and I can't.
It's just like we're usually so good about it. Like usually on the weekdays we don't really order food or eat out that much.
I think I've honestly just slipped on my routine, and like usually when I'm working out more, I don't want to eat out much.
Gross food, yeah.
Yeah, but
right
something
now
about it, I can't.
It's tough. It's giving slight slump right now, and I'm eating so much outside food, and that makes me repulsed by everything.
Yeah,
at a
like
certain point.
I was thinking about like what I even wanted to eat tomorrow, and I was like, there's no food, including Indian right now that I want right now. I don't want
nothing
anything.
Sounds good.
I don't know. Tomorrow I'm fucking getting a salad.
Girl, we're going to boozy brunch tomorrow.
When
are we gonna get a salad?
No, I forgot. Okay, I'll eat a pizza.
We're gonna eat only the most unhealthy food.
Oh
and on that note, hope you're all thriving. We might not be at the moment, but we will be soon enough.
Thanks, you guys. Have a great week. See you next time. I would have said next week, but nothing is guaranteed in paradise.
Nothing's guaranteed when you're rats. So we're gonna try to not be rats soon.
Bye, guys.